Welcome, marvelous makers,
and art appreciators,
to the ArtSpace podcast,
brought to you by Lemon Street Gallery and ArtSpace,
located at 4601 Sheridan Road.
You should really stop on by.
Yes.
Your favorite citrus-themed art gallery, early and often.
Yes.
But not before we open for the
No.
day. You know, that's not cool.
Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Hours are...
Why do I... 11 to 5 on Thursday through Saturday,
That
and
would
Sunday,
be...
11 to 4.
Yeah, don't forget about that. But
Yes.
those are the times when you should stop on by your favorite citrus-themed art gallery today. Not today, those days.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
And I am your host, Shelby Nesmith.
And I'm Jake Hoy.
And today we are here with two members of Love Your Community. We have Katie here and Bryce.
Hello.
Hello. That was an adorable intro, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yes, try and keep people, as they click on, just get them interested right away.
I'll let you guess who came up with the wording there.
Oh, God. Gotta keep it
very
catchy.
One of us is better at cute things than the other.
Well, I'm sorry. It's ingrained in
Don't
my
be sorry.
bones.
It's a good thing.
Shelby can't help it that she's just cute.
Yeah.
I gotta be cute.
I'm not usually described as cute. Maybe I am to some.
I think you are.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh,
Bryce.
there you go. Yes.
Wonderful to have you guys here with
Yes,
us.
thank you guys.
Yes, thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how you guys doing? That's how we like to start out. Low key.
Yes.
Doing good?
Heard you
Yeah,
guys
we're
just
doing
got
well.
back from Madison.
Yep.
Keeping busy, keeping out of trouble.
Ooh, that's fun.
Perhaps, yeah. But
Giving
yeah,
to them a little bit.
we just we're kind of in that last bit of summer, so we're just like trying to enjoy as much of that as you can while it's still here, while the sunshine's here.
Yeah, soak up the sun and
Yeah.
spend time with friends.
Oh, definitely.
And the
Yeah.
weather's been much more cooperative lately.
Yes,
Not
thank
as
you,
sticky and
Jake.
humid. This is the meteorology section.
Yeah.
Yes, the weather report.
Yes.
But no, yeah. I love not having that humidity.
Mm.
And I just got done with the Full Steam Ahead event, Time Warp, woo woo woo, that we talked about in our Just Us episode 17. And I got my lino cut done, and it looks beautiful. So it's
And-
been a very, very busy week.
And they literally take a steamroller and roll it over this lino cut,
Yep.
which is like a big stamp.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Big old carving.
And you get prints out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
Wow.
very cool event up in Racine.
Yeah, I just got 10 of those done. So that was a doozy of a Saturday morning. So that was a lot of fun.
What was your design on that stamp?
I can actually pull up an image.
But not for you folks at
Not
home.
for you guys at home. You'll have to
Your
check out
imagination.
social media. Here's one of them on my tie-dye fabric. It is
Whoa.
it's a
Oh,
Venus
yeah.
coming out of a Venus flytrap that I kind of touched on in episode 17. So
Yeah, listen back to
That
the
is awesome.
Just Us episode to
Yes.
hear a description of the process. Back
Very
when it
neat.
wasn't even done when we recorded that.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even done yet.
You can
but,
hear the artist in
like that's like the
throes
matrix
of
and
creation.
everything before
I
it was
love
inked
that.
up. So it's 18 by 24 and
Holy cow.
yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm gonna toot my own horn.
Do
and
it. Toot away.
Oh, Shelby.
got it done in like 4 weeks. So because life was crazy. And I didn't have a chance to start it. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I need to sit down and do this. So,
But that's super fast. You have to carve every little bit out.
yep.
Super impressive
So-
that you did it in just 4 weeks.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good on you.
Oh, thank you.
And you guys are just coming off of a big
Oh, yeah.
event, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of part of why we're just taking it easy so much. Is like we just finished up Beachfront Arts Fest.
Yes.
Our second year.
With Love Your Community.
Yes, with Love Your Community, which is for those of you that weren't there, it's just a free community event. We had 9 bands, we had about 40 vendors, some food vendors, and it's all free to the public. Just a bunch of people coming, hanging out, expressing themselves, sharing their art,
And having a good time.
having a good time. Right. So we basically it's us two, and then our 2 other business partners, Eric, and then our buddy Matt. And Eric and Matt weren't able to come with us today, but
I know.
that's okay. They don't like to be on camera too much. But yeah, it was really just like our second year, so we learned a lot the first time, and just were like really excited to put it into action, and we're just super happy with how many people came out, and everyone seemed to have had a great time. All the artists sounded awesome, and
Yeah, and it was an awesome environment to just be there and be part of it. Even just from the creator standpoint, to sit back and watch all diversity in age, gender,
yeah, super
everybody
diverse
come
group.
together. It was beautiful.
That's what I really liked about being the first year there. For Lemon Street, we were there for the first year. I knew we had to come back again, and we're going to be stuck to you guys like glue because it was
Yeah.
just such a fun environment. And you don't see that type of environment that often in Kenosha. So it was just so beautiful to see and
Totally.
participate in.
And you guys had an awesome setup
Definitely,
too.
yeah.
That was like,
thank you.
we were so excited when you were reaching out to us about the idea to paint this banner that you had, and we were just like, wow, this is like going from our first year to like literally just trying to find people
To actually want to be
to
a
want
part
to
of
be
it.
there. To then the second year, we got all these people like hitting us up like immediately, like, hey, we want to do this, and it just felt like a lot of growth, and it was like, yes, like this is why we're doing this, you know.
Well, yay. I'm glad that year 2 worked out really well. You kind of learned from the first year because it was like you could tell where it was going. It was just like, oh, a little more energy. Come on, come on.
Right.
And
Right.
I saw that and I was like, you know what? I know next year is going to be amazing. So I'm just so glad that things are on track and things are growing, and love that so much for you guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's a great question. Is next year going to be amazing? Is there going to be a next year? You guys aren't
Yes.
hanging
Oh,
up your
yeah.
hats.
No. Yeah, this is an annual thing. We're already planning for next year, which
Wow.
for this year we kind of like started. We were like, oh, we got so much time. Like,
Oh, no.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a big
time goes
mistake.
by fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're still learning at this because this is all new to us, but that's what makes it so much fun, and that's what makes it so beautiful. We're all trying to come together to put on a community event and just create good energy in our community.
Yeah, have that space where people can gather and just like enjoy the space, really, you know. And so this year we're like, oh yeah, we got time. We started probably like 6 months away from our date, and then even then we were just like, oh my god, like we really gotta kick it into gear here. So this next year we're basically we're gonna try to pick our date like right away, and then hold it with the city, and then we're kind of trying to expand our organization a little bit, kind of have a little bit more clearly defined roles for people, so that we're not all wearing so many hats and just kind of like,
Right.
it's such a big undertaking to organize like a festival,
Yeah.
which is like, it seems like, oh, it can't be that hard, but it's like so many things, so many.
And plus, we're nonprofit, so we do not get paid for that.
No.
Yeah.
It's just our love and joy for putting on this event, and
Yay,
that's rewarding in
volunteering.
itself.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
sake of it.
It is hard to find people to volunteer. I mean, we have a great community of friends that help us out. But if we could dedicate our full time into this, that would be
Amazing. Yes.
top.
I know that struggle because not only am I working at Lemon Street, I'm also on the committee for the Kenosha Art Market. So
Oh, okay.
helping with that, getting the website going and everything, it's a year-round process, and you don't realize
Totally.
it because we're only through June to October, third Sunday of every month. But it's like it's always on your brain. It can't leave your brain because there's always some prep work you have to do, talk to sponsors. It's-
Paperwork.
Yes. So I totally understand the craziness of getting that prepped and ready because people look at it, the face value, and it's like, oh, that's not that hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
But worth
Very
it.
time consuming,
Yes.
but yeah, definitely well worth it.
Yeah. And these are the kind of events we really need, bring
Yes.
people together.
Totally.
Sorely needed. So it's
And there-
awesome to see this.
There's a lot of stuff going on like in Kenosha,
Oh, yeah.
like there's all these kind of like, I don't even know what you call them, like almost like yearly events. Like one
Yeah.
that's like Taste of Wisconsin in my mind is like that's
Peace
really
Tree
cool.
Fest, yeah.
Peace Tree Fest, you know, there is stuff going on, but it feels sort of like it's not directly accessible for like specifically young people. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah, and
trying
it's
to.
not a free community event. I mean, Taste of Wisconsin is, but you know, our event, I think it speaks to our generation, and it's about our generation really taking over that space and being able to step up and say, hey, I've got great art to share. Let's share it.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely. And it's keeping it free all around, so it's so accessible. So
Yeah.
love that.
That was important for us because it's, you know, like if it's love your community, it's like everybody should be able to come, you know. And it's tough to find the balance of like, well, a free event, well, how are you gonna pay for it, you know?
Right.
But there's so much, like there's like sponsorships, grants, like don't like we were
Personal
so blessed to
donations.
have like I think we raised somewhere around like $3,000 in like donations from the community
Wow.
just through GoFundMe, people, word of mouth, just, you know, friends, family, some, you know, strangers, but and vendors as well. It was so the way we set it up is there's no fee to vend, but we ask for just like a voluntary, like just a donation based on how you did on the day, and if you didn't do anything, that or if
It's not
you know,
expected that
it's not
you'll
expected,
donate it.
right?
Wow.
But it's that donation model of like we're all kind of giving what we can to this, you know, put it in the pot, and you know, it really shook out this year for us. So it was like really awesome.
Awesome. Yay.
That's what we'd love to hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if you guys want, we can kind of get into a little bit about your guys' art and everything like
Sure.
that.
And your
'Cause-
relationship with art and
Yeah.
music falls into that as well.
Yeah,
Totally.
because you're some wonderful artists tied to this as well. So,
Well, thanks.
yes. So starting off, what got you guys interested in art? Would you say?
You wanna?
Well, for me, I wasn't always artistic. I was on the fast track to being a nurse in the medical field, and I just in high school I didn't really take any art classes whatsoever. And then I got a modeling career, so my nursing degree went on hold, and I started traveling the world, and just traveling the world and being exposed to so much art, architecture, going to museums, seeing paintings, famous paintings, sculptures, and just being inspired, just traveling and seeing beauty everywhere and having more time to actually kind of try drawing myself. So just going to many museums and being inspired by surrounding artists and even artists that were my friends. So that kind of brought me into the artistic community.
And she's grown a lot too. Like, I mean, we've been dating for about 4 years now, and just like from the beginning of our relationship to now, like the amount of work that she has like created, both like so many different mediums. Like she does like drawing, painting, like charcoal, like
3D
yeah, she's been
sculpting.
3D sculpting recently. You know, just very, you know, does wire wrapping, jewelry, and whatnot. Like just a very, very creative, very like multi-talented person. But
But yeah, it's just so fun to explore all of the different mediums that you can express yourself with. And just even not really knowing what you're doing, kind of fumbling the ball, but picking it back up and just having fun with it. That's what really inspires me to create.
Nice. We always love experimenting. That's kind of a big thing on the podcast is like just experiment with something, just do something, be creative, even if you're not a pro at it. Like who
Yeah.
dictates that? So just express yourself, have fun. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Thanks,
Yes.
Shelby. I definitely agree with that. I think also like just not having the expectation to the outcome and just creating for the sake of creating and just doing it for yourself and nobody else. That's really what got me into creating.
Awesome. Love that. And you?
So for me, I don't know. I guess I just sort of always was gravitated towards art, like from a very young age. Just like being a little kid, I was always like super stoked about art class, and just I had some really supportive teachers in my early years that really pushed me and kind of, you know, I guess I don't know, like you kind of do like that like first grade finger painting, and then like it's like, it is what it is. But then your teacher's like, wow, this is really great. Like, we're going to put this in like the art show. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, that's awesome, you know? And then my parents are all proud of me. And I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I am good at art, you know? That like encouragement, I think, from teachers, like really, really helped me. And then basically I just was not very athletic at all. And so in like high school and, middle school, like I would play sports still because my friends played, but it just never really clicked for me. And I don't know, I feel like just doing art or being more creative or even just being imaginative, like silly with your friends, I feel like is another form of creation. There's like being playful, like messing around, joking around, like that can even be like creativity, I guess, if you're kind of, just kind of passing the ball back and forth. And so I feel like, I don't know, I was always just very like in art because it felt like the right thing. And I just had a lot of support from like older people in my life that were like, yeah, keep doing this. So I was very fortunate to have that.
Oh, nice, because you don't realize that those moments are very important, highlighting young artists and everything, because they need that push. They need to know that they're doing something good. Because I remember being a kid and you're always looking for your parents or adults for validation or just like, what am I doing? And so, yeah, it might seem dumb in the moment, like looking back on it, like, oh, it was just like a little kid's award ceremony thing or something. But it's very pivotal for people. So
it is.
Yeah, and you need that encouragement too.
Definitely.
Even as a, I'm a full-grown adult.
You still need it.
I look like it, but I don't feel like it. But yeah, sometimes I'm like looking at Bryce. I'm like, is this even good? Oh, it's not good. I got to redo this and that. But
it's so
it's
hard.
just nice to have that encouragement and also criticism. Constructive criticism from your friends and loved ones.
Definitely.
I feel like critique and criticism are kind of like two different things where it's like you can feel so I went to film school and I learned how to like accept critique in film school because it's like that's what you do. You make stuff and then you talk about it and people will like tell you what they really think about it. And I'm sure anybody who's been to art school or any in that environment knows that like it can be really hard to accept critique about your work.
Yeah.
But like once you learn like, oh no, like it's not because I'm bad, it's because they're trying to help me make it better.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yes, give me critique. I want to hear like what am I missing? And that like bouncing that perspective off of somebody else and just hearing what they have to say is like so cool. Like I love that part of like creating art, but it is very difficult to get over that like inner criticism. And I feel like that's what it really is. It's like you have that inner criticism.
Yeah.
And then when someone else is doing
for
it.
me, I'm a sensitive girl.
I know that completely. But it's taking that moment saying like, I'm going to put my ego aside. I'm going to let these things come in to better myself and my art and just kind of learn from it. So it's a big process. I remember being in college and just dreading critique day. Either because like people didn't know how to critique, so we're just sitting there in awkward silence like, that's nice, I like how you did that. Or it's like really harsh critique and you're not ready for it. So I remember it's just flashbacks of college. Oh my goodness. Yeah, pretty much. So but just approaching critique, just say, hey, ego aside, tell me what you think. So it's very important. We talk about that a couple times on the podcast of just being vulnerable and open enough to ask someone like, hey, what are your thoughts on my stuff? How to approach it, how to talk about it, how to not just say, oh, it looks nice. So yeah, feedback is very important, as we said many times on this podcast.
Totally.
So
yeah, and everybody's different. I know some people like really struggle with sharing their art and sort of thinking of it as a productive and not a reductive thing, So, but
yeah, sharing your art, it can be very vulnerable. It's a piece of yourself, and sometimes all those pieces are not as beautiful as others. So it is very vulnerable, but it's really great to share, and through sharing you can find connection. So.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's kind of our goal. Going to do a quick plug for our creatives club here. at Lemon Street Gallery. So it's the third Thursday of every month. We just come together and bring your projects that you're working on, painting, drawing, song lyrics, poetry, anything like that. Come together. You can work on your project kind of as a group. And then, yeah, if you want to ask for feedback, you can get feedback there. So it's just a nice creative environment. So check that out, guys.
Stop on by.
Yes,
Sounds
yes,
fun.
yes.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I'm like, oh.
Yes, third
I didn't know about
Thursday,
that.
5 to 8 p.m. We just started that. By the time this episode's out, we would have had our first
Yeah,
one.
I
So
believe the first one happened yesterday.
yeah, woo!
It was awesome.
Yes,
Calendars
So
are a
much
thing.
fun.
I think so. Yes. So
All right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
we touched on this a little bit already, but like with your finger paints, what? Not that I'm. What are some of your guys' earliest art memories? Like, is there something that really made you that sticks out in your mind as like, oh, that was more important than I thought it was?
Yeah, I think the first art memory was probably music class in grade school. I had a really great music teacher. Shout out to Mrs. C. She was just really inspiring and just she was so motivating for people to try any instrument in the class. And she just had a moment in the beginning of the class where she laid out all of the instruments and said, go to whatever instrument that you feel called to, and you can play with it for the first 15 minutes of class.
Oh, that's
That
awesome.
is cool.
So that was an awesome way to kind of explore. And she had guitars.
She's brave.
drums.
Yeah.
She's a brave
Well,
teacher.
yeah. Well, I think that also she had a lot of trust in our class, and we were very good students. So,
That's a bonus. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, of
Which
course we-
instrument? Which instrument did you go to?
I probably went to the guitar or the hand drums.
Okay. Ooh.
But I do love guitar, but I'm drawn more to the ukulele now in my adult life. Bryce got me an electric ukulele for my birthday, so
Aw.
strum a few songs on
She
there.
rocks it.
Our executive director, I'm calling her out.
Oh.
She takes ukulele lessons.
I didn't know this.
Beth takes ukulele
Oh,
lessons.
that's awesome.
I only knew that because she accidentally synced her calendar up with our work computer. And I got the notification, ukulele lesson. And I was like, what? As I'm here at work. And she's just like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can disable my notifications. And I was like, okay.
Well, now I know who the next musical act at the art market should be.
Yes, get Beth out there, start strumming. So.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't show up, that's our backup now.
Beth, we need you.
Hope you're listening, Beth.
Bring your ukulele.
You know she is. So how about you, Bryce?
So when we were thinking about this earlier, I was like, I'm trying to really remember my first like art experience that sticks out in my mind. I was like in preschool, just making some little like Christmas ornament project, like out of, I think like a little like pot, like a little clay pot and just glitter. And, you know, it was like really nothing special at all. But I just remember like making that and then bringing it home and then like giving it to my mom. And then like when she was like, so like, oh, this is so great. Like put it on the tree. It's just like, I made that, you know? And then every year it's like, you pull that one out and you're like, oh, look at this, you know, it's like, and then like, there's all sorts of, you know, following that same kind of all through grade school, just making Christmas ornaments for the tree and like pulling them out and putting them up on the tree every year. I don't know. There's something special about that. It just felt very like, yeah, I'm just okay, I'll do this. You know, I don't know. I guess it's not too standout. The more so that the art show thing when I was a little bit older, but yeah.
But that's the earliest.
That's
Yes.
that's like the farthest back I can remember.
I have a similar memory because I definitely made a preschool Christmas ornament.
Yeah,
And I felt like I was able to contribute to like my favorite thing, which was Christmas. Like I was part of it. Like,
This guy
hey,
loves Christmas over here.
she's a Halloween girl. I'm a Christmas guy.
Okay. It's a good balance.
Yes.
Listen to the Just Us episode if
Oh,
you want to hear
gosh.
more Halloween stories.
We
or,
went in-
or a lot of them.
Yes. Weird that we were just talking about that. So. But yeah, I remember that too. Just the idea of getting around the tree, reminiscing about the times of like, oh, remember when I was like this tall, I made this little thing. And so I always love looking back on those memories through art and things like that. So
Totally.
very important to have those in your life, those little things that kind of trigger those memories, because I feel like it keeps them at the forefront of your mind. You don't want to forget them. So
Totally.
love that. So moving on to the next question. Who was an influence on your art?
Or some influences.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, because it could be you saw something and it influenced you. It doesn't actually have to be a person. Just,
Sure.
yeah, what kind of influenced your art?
I feel like for me personally, so I'm mostly like I do music and I'm a video. I do video stuff as well. So I feel like most of my like art is like collaborative with like, you know, whether it's like we have a production company, so we're like making a music video for somebody, or you know, just like playing music with my friends. Like I feel like the collaborative environment of like creative people around me like are what most influence my art. It doesn't, I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of like make something completely on my own. It just
He's
doesn't
done
feel
it
right.
before.
Yeah.
He's just being humble.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I feel like the art forms that I do is like more just like we're collaborating, we're doing stuff together, we're like breaking up this project into tasks, and we're doing it and like bouncing ideas off each other. Like that's my favorite kind of creativity, I think, is like just being like coming up with something together and like listening to each other, feeding back off of each other, and like new ideas popping up here and there. So I feel like just like the environment of people that I find around myself is like the most influential when it comes to my art.
We love that because most artists that we have on our podcast, they like to work alone. They like to lock themselves away in the studio and just like work away at it. So it's nice to have the perspective of someone that likes group projects and everything. So
You could almost say you love your community.
Oh, good one.
True.
I do.
well, yay.
And for me, I think I can work independently or together. I do really love working with others, obviously, with Love Your Community, and that's a Beauty Productions. It is inspiring to work with artists and kind of make their dream a reality. And
Love that.
yeah, and then for myself, I'm inspired by everything, all my friends, and even just like different shadows that I see. I was living in Paris, France, back and forth for about 4 years.
I've heard of it.
So yeah. And it was a beautiful place. I had a little tiny studio apartment right by the Louvre. So I would go there a lot.
Oh.
And I just bought a monthly pass and would just go in and out and try to draw in the statue room, because that
nice.
was my favorite room, because they had a window ceiling. So all of the light just shined down on all of the beautiful statues. And I just love sitting in there and observing.
Nice. I remember side tangent to last episode with I went on a trip to Italy with my friend Brenna for school, and we were in the statue room at there was this with the David and everything. There was other statues there. I could sit there for hours. Like it's just you get lost in the shapes, and you're just like, that's just a body. And like, why do we hide these things? And they're just so beautiful. And I love statues. That's kind of my weird love that I can never do, though. I always love.
That's not weird.
Yeah, I love them too. I
Yes.
was sitting in that room as well.
They're
for
incredible.
hours.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally understand that.
It's
So
magnificent, honestly. To think somebody carved that too, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the?
Yeah.
How did they do that?
I couldn't even do that with wood, let alone a rock.
Couldn't do that. I couldn't do that with Play-Doh, I don't think.
well, Brenna, shout out to you and your goal. I hope you're working on your goal of making the statue of David
Yes,
out of crochet.
Out of crochet, yes.
Wow.
Calling back to that. That was her
I'll
goal.
be looking forward to
Listen
see
to
how
episode
that works.
18
Yes.
for more info.
Talking about statues. So
Well, this goes right into our next question very nicely here. Who would you guys say are some of your favorite artists? That could be local artists, it could be famous artists. You know, this is the shout out section.
yeah.
Shout out to Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
Yes.
Statues.
He definitely needs the publicity,
Yes.
from this little tiny podcast.
Little known artist.
Yes.
Yeah, I am really inspired by Van Gogh. I love his use of color. As for local artists, I have a friend named Joey Africa, and he paints all kinds of beautiful paintings, and it's just inspiring to see such a talented artist like in the present day. And going through museums, most of the artists are dead, R.I.P. But just to see someone who's so talented and someone who loves to share art and someone who you can ask their questions to about what choices they made and why they made that choice to use this color or what inspires them. It's really awesome.
Yes. Develop relationships with your local artists, because then you can ask those nitty-gritty questions and get the insight. So, or you can listen to the podcast, because that's the goal.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a good idea. I'm glad
Yes.
somebody started that podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very inspired by like two specific artists. One, his name's Nicholas Albrook. He's like the lead man in this band called Pond. And they're from Australia, like kind of like really cool psych rock, kind of weird alt, like I don't know, they're kind of getting the little 80s style
Yeah.
nowadays. But I remember seeing this band perform for the first time, and just like the way that this man like was moving on stage, I was just like totally like, wow, like this is like an incredible performer, just somebody that like was doing like the way that they were moving and expressing themselves, and like I don't even know how to like
Very
describe it.
captivating.
Yeah, like
Yeah, Bryce and I, we saw them perform in Berlin together.
Yeah.
And he does have an amazing stage presence and just so uniquely himself. And I could see Bryce kind of like copying the moves. It
I
was
had to,
really
yeah.
adorable.
It's-
He's like, that's his role model right there.
Aw.
Truly. I mean, I've seen this band probably like 9 times now, like since that first time, just because it's like every time I'm just like fixated on watching this dude perform. It's so like he's just so good. And then the other like similar kind of thing is Stu McKenzie from the band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
He is
Awesome.
just like so prolific. Just like I mean, like basically like he does like I would say probably most of the writing for that band, and they have like over 20 albums. Like they're like
Yeah.
just putting stuff out all the time, and he just seems to be very like I don't know, very grounded in his craft in terms of just like he doesn't really get caught up in like the fact that they're a huge like global touring band now. It's just like seems like a chill guy, is always putting stuff out. And what I feel like is even more cool about it is that like oftentimes like he'll encourage bootlegging. Like they'll be like, yo, we just dropped here's this like live set, like here like or here's this album, all the files, like go ahead, download it, make your own like vinyls, like resell it, like go have at it, you know, like boot. And then there's a whole section on their website where it's like bootleggers, and it's just like all these like, you know, bootleg versions of their stuff that other companies, other artists have made. So they're just like so open about sharing that art to the point where it's like all this other cool art is
and
made
it's
from
a
it.
collaborative experience.
Yeah.
They even said that you can make a version of their song. Bryce and I
Yeah.
are gonna try and do
Yeah,
that.
they had
Couldn't get around to it.
yeah, it's tough. I'm very bad with finishing projects. That's like the bane of
It's
my
hard.
art career, is that I'll like just work on
Start
something
something.
a lot, and then I'll be
Yeah.
like, on to this thing now. And then I'm like, oh, I have like 10 unfinished projects, but I want to do this new idea.
Yeah.
But
It's hard
Yeah.
to find the time for everything.
Yes.
Not a unique problem.
No.
I have the same issue.
Yes.
it's tough.
You almost get excited by this new idea that distracts you from the original. It's just like, okay, I guess I'll start the new one.
Yeah.
Got to keep the energy going.
Totally.
But do you have any film inspiration as well?
See, so this is the funny thing. I went to film school, but I don't watch movies. I'm like,
Yes, he
I'm
does.
like the most not like like as of like recently, you know, like like since I graduated, I just like, I don't know, I've like way more invested in music, way more like I love going to live shows. I love like, I feel like I just don't watch movies anymore or like TV because it feels, a lot of the time it feels like we're so busy that, you know, it's like if we sit down and like watch a bunch of stuff that like it's a waste of time.
Yeah, we actually don't have a TV.
Whoa.
Well, we
Okay.
have a
Yeah.
projector that we can put up, but that makes it more intentional for
Yeah.
TV watching.
You like have to set it up and like get it all, you know, and take it down basically. Like,
So it
it's-
deters you.
Yeah. And it's not just this big black square in your living room staring
Yes.
at you like, turn me on. Watch.
I completely understand that because I actually graduated with a film study certificate. I don't really, I'm not part of that realm anymore, and I just
Yeah.
turned to visual art and printmaking. So, yeah, it's just weird how that happens. You'll kind of
Yeah.
get in a mood, and you're just like, wow, I'm really passionate about this. Now I'm really passionate about this other thing.
Totally.
So, it's life drags you in different directions.
Yeah.
So,
And that's okay. You know, it's like all about exploring different stuff. I mean, I don't regret at all going to film school and all of like the weird, like, so I went to UW Milwaukee and it was a very like experimental program where we would have classes where like you were kind of like forced to take experimental filmmaking classes. It was a little bit less technical and more about like the idea and like, you know, I just remember like there's this one class where we were watching a film that was 15 minutes long and like fitting enough. It was just a lemon. It was a lemon, one shot, and the filmmaker just moved a light slowly around the lemon. So like the angle of the light just moved over the course of 15 minutes. And that was the end. And they're like, all right, now what do we think?
oh goodness.
And I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, this is insane. You know, like, this is literally insane. What are we talking about? We just watched a lemon for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, here I am 5 years later, or whatever, talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, just so that really opened me up, like, to, like, being so frustrated about how stupid this was. And then, like, being like, wait a minute, like,
That's art.
this is kind of interesting. Like, what, like, let's talk about it, you know? And I mean, so I was very lucky to be able to be exposed to a lot of like weird stuff. But I feel like it kind of just like encouraged me to like make weird stuff rather than like seek and watch out weird stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of like filmmaker inspirations, I guess.
That's okay. I just figured I'd check
Yeah.
in and see. Yeah.
That's a good thought. I should think on it a little bit more. Maybe
I think he has a few movies he could do.
well, I don't know.
Not the lemon movie.
Not the lemon. Well,
Shout out to that lemon guy.
check the Lemon movie out. I don't know. I think it's just called Lemon. Look it up.
Great name for an art gallery. Though.
Yeah.
What if it was on the street?
Oh.
Good idea.
But yeah, college is just kind of that time to be exposed to the crazy, I feel, because at this point you can Google a tutorial or YouTube
Yeah.
something if you really want to be technical with stuff. So yeah, college is now just, here's the craziness, open up your mind. So
Yeah. When I was sitting there deriving the quasi-geostrophic equation, I didn't think, this will be useful hosting an art podcast.
well, guess what?
Oh no, I don't have it memorized anymore.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
And we are back. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. We're here to talk more with Love Your Community,
Yay.
Bryce and Kate.
Yay.
Or is it Katie?
It's Kate.
Kate.
Oh.
Okay.
I think I said Katie in the beginning. Oh,
That's
no.
all right.
That's
okay.
what confused me
Yeah.
because I'm like, I could see it, you know?
Yeah.
But Bryce and
It's a
Katie.
nickname.
Yes. Or
Thank you so
Kate.
much for Kate. Got in my head. Got in my head. We're leaving this in.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, thanks for sticking with us here. We got some more questions to get through and some more lovely conversation to be had.
Yes, yes, yes.
Undoubtedly.
Yay.
So next up, what's your motivation to create?
You want to take this one?
You're both going to have the chance to answer if you
No.
would like.
Motivation to create. Well, selfishly, it's just to have an outlet
That is not selfish, I think. So,
No.
yeah.
It's really awesome to be feeling any kind of way, all emotions, and just have a creative outlet to express them. Also, just throwing events like Love Your Community and having feedback. I think one of the biggest compliments that I received from the festival was from my friend Walker, and he said that he has never felt more freely been able to express himself as free as he did at Beachfront Arts Fest.
Wow.
And he just said, I was able to dance like nobody was watching me and just know that I was supported and loved and like just be uniquely myself. And that was a really beautiful comment to receive. And I would love to curate more events like that in the future where hopefully we can create that atmosphere again.
Yes.
I'd say my inspiration to create is just like it almost feels just like necessary. Like it's just like something where I don't know, I can't just like sit and like do nothing like a lot of times, or like even if just I'm on my phone or something, like I'll just get like burnt out from that. Or even like if we notice like when we go out like in nature, we're just like chilling, you know, I'm like it takes me about 5 minutes before I like start to like get up and like go try to like do something like collect flowers or like, you know, make a little rock castle, or like I just have to like make something. I don't know what it is.
He loves like being productively. He loves like motion meditation. And
Nice.
I prefer stillness meditation.
Me too.
I also am a 100-hour meditation teacher certified.
Wow.
Shouts out.
Yeah, if anyone wants a meditation lesson.
They should.
Nice.
But yes, Bryce and I, we do go out into nature a lot, and we do find that's where we're different. Because I'm just like, baby, sit back and relax. And he's like, no, we've got to make this castle out of rocks. Can you help me bring all of these stones over here?
I've got the blueprint laid out. Got to get the scaffolding done by noon in order to do this. So yes, I totally get that.
But yeah, I don't know. Also just like sharing like with people is like, I don't know, art is obviously, it's so powerful. Like it's really like you're communicating an idea, and sometimes that idea is, you know, it can be about anything, but I feel like just like to create is like you're like trying to convey something, right? Like you're like making something new that is like in your mind or like within you, and maybe you don't really know what it is entirely while you're doing it, but like as you're doing it, it's like just kind of coming out of you. And then you've like when you're done, it's like look at this thing, you know, whatever it is, and it might like just convey an idea that like words wouldn't be able to, or like I don't know, like I feel like we can do a lot of learning about ourselves just by looking at art and by just like discussing it with other people and being like, what is this feeling to you? Or like songs, like just like talking about like how a song will make you feel or like what it reminds you of, you know. It's like such a beautiful thing to be able to like conjure up like ideas, but like they have kind of this different, it's not just an idea, it's like it takes on a physical form in some way.
I love the idea that like art is a basic form of expression and like communication between people, and I've harped on that over the course of the last 19 episodes, but I very much believe that it's a vital thing, you know, because you're connecting with someone.
And even in meditating, I led a group meditation for my friends last night. And at the end of it, we just held space for each other, and I asked everybody in the room, did you guys have any visuals, or did your imagination lead you anywhere? And it was just so interesting to see where the mind wanders, and that everybody was able to share their perspective and just where it went. We were talking about creation, destruction, animals. It's just so interesting to see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, and that you're not alone in this craziness that is produced. Everyone has their own little craziness that's an end result. So yeah, love that.
Love that.
Yes.
Love your community.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop doing it.
No, keep doing it. So, if time and money were not an issue, what would your guys' dream project be, other than Beachfront Arts Fest? Because that's really a big thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of
Well,
course.
the dream is beachfront Arts Fest. But I think also to create more community events like art galleries, little pop-up events like Beachfront Arts Fest, but a little bit on a smaller scale. Bringing in different people, providing that platform for other artists to take up that space.
yes.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the way. Like we've always had this like kind of, it would be so cool to help like actually like have like a brick and mortar like space, kind of like this, where people can come together and like do small events and like just, like there's a few spaces in Kenosha where like there's open mics and things like that, but I feel like there just needs to be more of it, there needs to be more places for people to come together. And so I feel like if I had like all the time and money in the world, like being able to just like find the right place downtown Kenosha and just like have a space where people can use the space kind of freely to like put on pop-ups and things like we were talking about, and then also kind of just have like a really chill like mini coffee shop kind of thing, not like
Fully stocked.
yeah,
craziness.
just like
Yeah, yeah.
just a few things, and then mostly just like really comfy places for people to sit and like come together and just hang out, so like hopefully someday that can happen.
I want to go there.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Environment is very important to creative energy, I think.
Totally.
It's something that if we were surrounded by art and inspired, that's stuff we can get inspired by, and having something that's comfortable and freely an environment where you can freely express yourself, it's just so important. And unfortunately that's why I feel like a lot of local artists, they kind of just lock themselves away because there's no place to consistently provide that. So I
Or
think
because they don't know that there are places
yes,
to
Right.
do
that too. Yes.
Or they feel like they don't belong.
Yeah,
There's many reasons.
yes.
Totally.
So we're trying to work on that, and I'm glad we're on the same wavelength with
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're totally on the same vibe because there's so many cool young people that are creative or even not like wouldn't consider themselves creative, but like but you are,
Yeah, like me.
yeah. But like, I feel like there's so many of us here. It's just like, we're all kind of bumping into each other here and there, but there's no like real, like, there's this collective, like, we're not communicating fully like what we could
Yeah.
be, And I just feel like we all just need to like find each other more here, because there's such, like, just from my personal experience, all the like the cool people I run into or like my friends, like, I'm just like, wow, like, we're not in like a big like Chicago or like Milwaukee even, or like LA or whatever, but there are so many artists, so many like people that are down to like make stuff happen and like support each other's art, and like DIY music shows. And
Yeah, we just did a DIY music show this weekend in Waukegan, and it was beautiful to kind of step into another community and have it feel like our own, and just how people were there to show up and support their friends performing in a backyard.
oh,
Yeah.
so nice.
shout out to our friends Easeworld and Hirsch. They're some Waukegan based artists, and they're super talented, like just putting out music, like great music all the time. And they had us, they asked if we could do like sound and lighting, which is a new kind of thing that we're doing with our production company.
Yeah, and it's so fun.
So we helped set up that show, and just like, I was amazed, like there was probably like 80, 90 people there in like this backyard, and they're all young and they're all cool and they're all like being kind to each other,
All
and
stylish,
like,
all
styling.
respectful.
Yeah. And I was just like, damn, there's this whole other creative community, and it's like 30 minutes away, like, and we're starting
Yeah.
to overlap a little bit.
And
Like,
that's what is awesome about community. It's not really defined by state lines or cities, even countries. It can be universal.
Absolutely.
the internet, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned the DIY music show. We just had a guest on, Tim,
Yeah.
who he's like a big time drummer now. He's got like 35,000 followers on Instagram.
Whoa.
But he was talking about how growing up here in Kenosha, he went to all these DIY music shows, like punk shows and like rec rooms and stuff like that.
And
how,
the church basements
yeah,
and stuff.
and how that was a formative part of, and he was that young kid that was there at the show, and then goes on to become a creative person and an artist and that kind of thing. So yeah, just knowing that that's still happening is very awesome.
It is. It needs to happen more.
Yes.
You know, we're trying to do that as much as possible. And I feel like there are older people in the community who like are kind of like they're in the kind of what I would call like air quotes institutions of Kenosha, where like, you know, like the Harbor Market or like Visit, you know, like these people, these organizations that are like really community leaders, I feel like have, from our perspective, been super receptive to young
supportive.
people. Yeah. To our ideas and just to young people, like trying to help young people be like, oh, you want to do something? Okay. Like
Let's
Dennis
make it
is like
happen,
super
yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And just people
They're
like they
reaching out
recognize
the helping hand.
Yeah, they recognize that we're like actually trying to like do cool stuff for the community, and they're like, great, youthful energy, like let's support
Yes.
it. And it's like super refreshing, because I feel like, especially in like just on the bigger scale, like the older generations kind of have like a stranglehold on like the way things are. So it's cool to be in a city where the older generation is really receptive and supportive and encouraging to us, you know, to do more for us. So
And I think a lot of younger people think that answer is going to be no when they have an idea and they want to ask the powers that be, you know, if they can not even ask, tell, you know, that they're going to do this. They're going to say, no, you can't do that. It doesn't work. But a lot of times it's a yes, and it's a here's how you do it. And I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, like Lemon Street, we've been here for 23 years now.
that's crazy.
And, you know, we're trying to connect with the community and help everybody out and do good things like that.
Make an arts district.
And
so-
succeeding at it.
Yes.
I'd say, yeah. Oh, truly.
We're trying our darndest over here. But yeah, and being young and being in some certain environments, you kind of get this feeling of, not that you're unwanted, but there's just, it's hard to hold that space because especially in, I would say, just in arts in general, the main consumer is older people because they have money and XYZ. They have the time to create it, XYZ. So really finding that and holding on to that is very important. And I think we're doing that with our podcast, I believe, as well, because our demographic is mainly that little kind of audience that we don't see in the galleries, but they're still participating, still having fun, still educating, and still engaging. So I feel like we're starting to bridge that gap at holding space for them. So love that about you guys with the Beachfronts Arts Fest, because that's just so important, also being a younger person. So
Totally.
yeah.
I feel like you guys have already done your dream project.
Yes.
Without unlimited time and money.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like it's like we have big dreams for it and what it could be. And I think the space that it takes place in Penoyer Park is like,
It's beautiful.
it's
Yeah,
so
right on the
gorgeous,
lake.
you know, but it also has a lot of space that could be used. So it's like something where
It's
this
something
thing could
that
grow.
it can grow, yeah.
And
Just how it has grown from the initial idea, it's truly amazing. So
yeah, we kind of just shotgunned it. Like we were like, it was like 3 months, you know, out.
first
and we were
one,
like,
yeah.
we were hanging out down there. And we're like, oh,
let's
like
do it.
it'd be so cool to have like a music festival here. And we're like, we could probably do it. And we did.
And we did it.
You know, it was like, you were there the first year. Like it was small. It was humble beginnings. And
Yeah, it was rough to get it started and get a little bit more respect.
yeah.
Yes.
But you know, the second time around, we were like, we noticed that like,
Okay.
oh, like
To
there's
have a
more
little more
energy.
structure
There's
here,
more
too.
energy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I just feel like that's gonna keep continuing on, and you know, obviously time and money is something that we all have to take into consideration. But what's so beautiful about like an arts festival or just like a large event in general is like it is a team. Like I said, I love collaborating. You know, it's like we're all giving what we can, whether it's time, energy, money, like to make it happen, because it's for all of us, you know? So
So if you're listening out there and you have an idea for a cool event or something that would
Wanna
help our
help out.
community, just do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Start.
Let's make it happen.
seriously.
And then improve on it.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're gonna keep finding cool people that want to help. You know,
Yeah.
like you guys. Like it was like, oh,
We've
whoa.
met so many great friends, even just from the first year of Beachfront, and
Mhm.
to see how far the connections will take you, it's really awesome.
It's a snowball effect. When you get
Mm.
passionate people around you, it builds and it builds and it builds. And I love that about our community. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, going into our next question, this is one of my favorite questions, the funny question. So we ask, what's a funny comment you've heard about your art? And maybe you've gotten a kind of a funny comment about the event you guys put on, or your any of
Your
your
music or
individual
anything,
arts
so,
as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
any funny comments that stick in your mind over the years?
Funny stories.
Well, as we mentioned before, we have a production company and we've done mostly music videos for other artists. And so like since like college, I had been kind of like making videos, but like like my team of fellow creatives. And then like when Kate and I started dating, then like the business kind of evolved a little bit more, and we got my buddy Eric, our roommate and third partner in Love Your Community, involved, and we just started making a lot more videos. But like, you know, music videos are weird, and they're, you know, like what's a music video? It's kind of
Right.
it's like, okay, visuals and sound, but it can be really anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember like making a couple of videos, and then like making like one really weird one for an artist called L Martin. And I didn't think it was that weird, but like it definitely was odd and, you know, kind of a little experimental. And I just remember my grandma being like, "Oh, I saw your video. It was unique." You know, it's like, thanks.
And
Yeah.
then there's just people dancing around in like morph suit
Yeah, they got like
materials.
weird, like latex
Very
bags on.
avant-garde.
Yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, there's always like that thing of like, you know, luckily I've had very supportive parents, and like even if they don't like get it, they're like,
Keep
looks
going.
good. Yeah. It's like you can kind of tell they're like, okay, like, yeah, that was cool.
Oh, that was something.
Yeah, unique.
Aw, well, yay. Grandma supports.
Yeah, she does.
Grandma Sandy does support.
Shout out Grandma Sandy. She's probably gonna
love you,
listen to
Grandma
this. I'll send
Sandy.
it to
Oh,
you.
Aw, well, yay.
hopefully this is also unique.
Yeah.
For me, a unique comment that was said about my art, probably that it looks like an alien portal.
Oh,
I like to just kind of draw or kind of just paint whatever I feel like sometimes, abstractly, sometimes no shapes, just colors and shapes that I like. And yeah, just it looked like an alien portal, and he could really get into there. Awesome. Glad that you're finding that dimension.
I take it wasn't supposed to be an alien portal.
Honestly, I didn't know what it was supposed to be.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, maybe it is. From his perspective. I love to hear all the different perspectives
Yes.
that somebody else can shine a light on my art that maybe I didn't see before. I'm like, you know what? It is an alien portal. How'd you know?
Yeah. Kate's actually working on right now. She's making like Rorschach, like ink blot kind of images, but like with like flowers and like
Yeah. So my
Our-
friend
yeah.
Eddie, he is a therapist. So he works with children that have addiction to technology. So he wanted to create something that could provoke a conversation, kind of like the ink blot testing, but something more contemporary and modern. So he gave me this idea, and I'm kind of just running with it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And eventually I want to turn them into oracle cards.
Oh, that would be
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, because I use a lot of oracle cards and I love tarot. So that's something that I love to do with my friends and just for myself to kind of see where my mind's at. And I'm really excited for these cards to come out too.
That's cool. You're making something with the intention of it being like meant to be perceived differently by others. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna make this thing, and then like this for this use of like reflection, and like with our friend who's a therapist, like to be able to use that tool with like your creativity is like just really cool. So
Yeah, once he started that, it was the full moon too. So I was like creating manically,
Oh,
and I was
goodness.
like, "Oh gosh, I've got to direct this energy somewhere."
She's just sitting on her iPad on the couch.
Just giggling away.
And Bryce is just trying to come over and like hug me, and I'm like, "Not now."
No.
I'm busy. Have you looked into autonomic drawing?
No.
So basically, it's auto meaning being like self. You just kind of close your eyes and draw, or like be in a meditative state and you draw or paint or anything like that. And you can actually take the drawings or the lines that you've made in the autonomic state and then elaborate on them, or they could just be a piece themselves. So that's something that has been, I'm trying to think what kind of period that was done in, because there was an art period where autonomic drawing became kind of prevalent, and I believe I'm blanking on what which one it was, but yeah, it's been done a couple of times. There's a couple of artists out there if you want to look into it. I just when
send
you
me
were
some
just
links.
yeah, when you were describing it, I'm like, I think she'll really like this process. So
Yeah,
um
I do sometimes do that, not with my eyes open, not with my eyes closed. I just kind of paint the canvas in a color and then find the shapes within.
mhm.
And I actually made one of my pieces called the Elder Dragon. I'll have to send you. I made a little short paragraph story about it.
Definitely send us your art so then we can kind of post
share
it. Yeah.
Look for that.
Share some info on it.
Yeah.
So love that.
She's also got a really cool line drawing style where she'll just like basically make like a human figure, like usually like a woman's body, like just like with one line, and like just I'll just watch her like just do it, and I'm just like, how like I'm not a like,
It's multiple
visual
lines
drawing,
and lots
like-
of erasing, but
but you just do it with your finger. I'm just like, dude,
it
that's
takes
crazy.
lots of practice.
Yeah.
You can be good at anything as long
Practice,
as you
practice, practice.
practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just really stood out to me, autonomic drawing. So I'll send you some
Cool.
information
Please
on that.
do.
I learned
Really fun.
something today.
Yeah.
You
Educate-
educated Jake.
Educate Jake segment.
Yay,
And I love that
Jake.
you went into the explanation without even me having to say, "Oh, what's that?" Never heard of that.
No, but it's really, really cool process. And it's hard to do. It's not for everybody. Because sometimes it's hard to let that control go. But seeing it, hearing what you work in and hearing that being described, I was like, that sounds perfect for her.
Ooh,
So
you know me.
awesome. So wrapping up with our final question.
Oh yes, drum
Dun,
roll.
dun,
The big
dun.
final question.
So what are your thoughts on the local art community, and do you think there needs things need to be improved on? We kind of talked about a little bit throughout the whole podcast, but to kind of sum up, what can we do better? What can we improve upon?
I think it's just about staying open and inclusive,
Yeah.
and also just having more spaces and pop-up events to connect.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we talked about, we touched on this a lot, but just like community happens in a space, like whether that space is digitally or like in person, it's like the atmosphere, like what you're talking about as well. Like it's just like a place where it's like you set an intention, like come to this place. There will be other people here like you or not like you, but like we're all coming here to do this thing, which is enjoy art, enjoy each other. And I feel like the scene, like we said, like there's just not a whole lot of spaces that are like completely open for everybody to come in, or there's not a whole lot of spaces like specifically like where like young people want to like come and like gather. Like I don't know, I'm not really one for just like going out to like the bar at
Yeah.
in Kenosha.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like I know that's kind of historically what young people are supposed to do, but it's like it's not like what's there for me, really nothing. So I feel like just like we need more spaces and just more communication in general. I think
Yes.
there can be a tendency with like a smaller town to like be like, oh, like we're competing for resources, like there's only so much, like we got to be this way or that way,
Or the best way.
Yeah, and it's
So, hey,
like
there's a lot of ways to be great, but I think if we really work together
Yeah,
and support each other, that's how you can be the most successful.
totally. Like we don't need to compete. Like there shouldn't be this competitiveness. Like it's like we can all support each other, and that
We
is
can
one
all
thing.
win.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I feel like is like prevalent here is that people do support each other.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like local artists, like I see like their friends, I see people like sharing stuff and like going to shows and just like
And
people
showing
want to
up for
support.
each other, yeah.
So we just need to come together a little bit more, communicate more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have ideas, like set them into action or like talk
Yeah.
to other people about it and be like, hey, I have this idea. Like see what people think, see what kind of like follow that thread of idea and just be like, oh, we can make something,
Yeah. There's room for you. And if you
Yes.
are into something, somebody else probably is too. And then
Totally.
you can connect with them. And it's like I always say, a rising tide lifts all ships. That's my other
Yay.
catchphrase.
Yes.
I like that.
That's why Shelby
that too.
motioned at me.
Catchphrase. Come on.
we can do it. We can help each other out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Especially in today's age with the internet as well. We were talking about earlier about like community isn't just exactly where you live, this little plot of land. It's like extends past that. And I feel like what is really cool about like that, like kind of extended local communities, you're just kind of like bringing in, like you're kind of switching, like you're kind of like bringing like some of this from this city in here and like some of that from this city in here. And like there's so much cool stuff going on all the time. Like you don't have to be in Chicago or a big city to like be around art. It's where you live. You just have to like find those people,
Yes, definitely.
absolutely.
And be those people.
and be those.
Yes.
Speaking of finding those people, where can people find you?
Yes.
People are all jazzed up from listening to this episode and want to support and get the ball rolling. And
Totally.
Volunteer,
Yeah.
help out. Yes.
Yes.
So our website is www.loveyourcommunity.us. That kind of is like the link to kind of like what we're doing as a nonprofit. But you can also find us on like Instagram, Love Your Community Inc.
And if you're interested in vending, performing, or volunteering at next year's event, please reach out. There is a little info section on our website. But if not, just shoot us a DM on Instagram.
Yeah, and Facebook as well. We're on Facebook. Also, That's a Beauty Productions is our production company. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Are we on Facebook? YouTube. Find us on YouTube. That's where our stuff is.
All right.
And then my personal is That's a Beauty.
And my personal is Kate Shannon 03.
Oh. All
So,
righty. Well, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, the ArtSpace podcast, and you can also check us out on any platform you find your podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and our very own YouTube channel. So check us out and give us a follow, a like, review, whatever platform you're on. Definitely give us reviews.
yes, tell us what to do and not what not to do.
We love, love, love feedback. So we want to make sure we're doing what you guys want to hear. So let us know what's going on. And a shout out to Would You Kindly for doing our intro and outro music. You guys are awesome.
Yay.
And I think that wraps it up for this episode. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us.